Welcome to the CTV Your Morning Podcast. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
I was going to say, who are you? I'm Lindsay Deluce.
And I'm Michelle Jobin.
It's good to have you with us today.
It's great to be
this
here.
is fun.
This
I know,
is
it's
very
so
fun.
If you're listening to us, by the way, you can watch us now on YouTube, which is really fun. Hey, speaking of watching, okay, so I know you saw the segment, but before this, a lot of people didn't know that there was a female Viagra pill. Did you know that?
I did not
I
tell
did
you,
not know.
told me.
It is a wild story of how this has come to market and literally the journey it took to get there. This is a new documentary out. It's called The Pink Pill. It is fascinating. Your jaw will be dropped because of some of the hurdles that this female pill had to go through when you look at the fact that there's 26 male versions on the market.
Really?
Yes. And the FDA approval, and it is available in Canada. Anyway, that conversation's coming up, which is really exciting.
I was going to make you tell me what it does, but I will watch that or listen for that in the interview.
Yes. It does well, apparently.
As well. And clearly a subject that probably is of interest to a lot of people and hasn't really been addressed. And a healthcare topic as well that does affect many, many people is caregiving and caregiving burnout. As our population continues to age, so many of us especially are finding us in a situation where we are caregivers. So you had a great conversation with Amy Kupel, who is the CEO of the Ontario Caregiver Organization, talking about caregiver burnout, the financial strain of caregiving as well. You know, I was a caregiver for my dad. It was a shorter period of time, but I also host a podcast actually for the Ontario Caregiver Organization. And we have conversations all the time about just the challenges and the lack of understanding and information that caregivers have in the beginning. So it's important.
And how do you navigate? You know, Amy, what I appreciated about her was so refreshing as she said, look, I work in this role, and I find it hard. I find it hard to find resources and to navigate. So, I mean, I love that she's there and she's offering this kind of guidepost for people because it's very, as you say, it's very confusing to navigate, hard to get the help that you need. Also in the podcast, we're going to take a look at this new Paramount Warner deal, and it doesn't just cover movies, it doesn't just cover TV. It is a juggernaut. It is going to touch basically almost everything that you consume,
including news.
So we'll take a look at that.
Right.
Oh. Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
This was really fun. So we talked to Lindsay Hubbard and Jesse Soloman from Summer House.
Summer House.
Hey, not a show that I was familiar with before, but man, they were so much fun. And you know, they came into the studio on a very sort of serious news day, and it was at the end of the show. And I said to them, do people ask you all the time, like, this is the place where they come to when they want sort of a break from, you know, juggernaut media deals and whatever else they're dealing with? Here was their response when I asked them that question. They're pretty funny.
We actually were talking about this the other day. It's like we're so happy to give people a reprieve from like, you know, the political climate and, you know, the winter even and how cold of a tundra we live in right now. But for us, it's like, oh gosh, you know, our drama and our, you know, everything that we're going through, like we're happy for you.
We're grateful to be in a big house with our best friends having fun all summer, and that it feels relatable and people like to live vicariously through us, just like having some fun.
People want to go to a place where the biggest problem is, should I kiss my best friend's ex-girlfriend?
Right.
You worded that perfectly.
That's how we started the interview, was with the clip of him in this dilemma, or her in this dilemma.
Okay, probably both.
But perhaps,
either or.
Yeah, that idea of escapism, though, is so, you're right, like things are so heavy right now to have that little something.
Mine are the Royals. The Royals are the
know.
Kardashians for me.
I know
they
they
are
are.
real life soap opera drama.
I always think about you when there's a new headline out. I'm like, what would Anne-Marie think? Because you also, you have this insight into that stuff, too.
Oh, totally.
I've just been reading about it for it's like anybody who follows anything for a really long time, you just start to recognize certain things.
Did you see what I did at the spa?
Yes, I did.
Did you see that?
I don't know how you didn't laugh.
Well, I thought I might laugh going into it. This was the ASMR spa that I went to.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I told Brooklyn, I was like, I'm going to do this ASMR shoot and I'm going to be on a massage table and they're going to ASMR me, which I don't even know if you can, like, that's the right way to say that.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
But I had the opposite. So I was worried I was going to laugh because it sounds and, you know, scents.
They
and all
do
this
that
stuff.
thing that they do online where they put their fingernails against like glass jars and things.
Guess what happened?
Oh, no.
Total convert.
Really?
I have to go back. Yes.
Wow.
It was so...
All that kind of
But it was, what it was, and this place was called Tingle's Bar.
Okay.
I was like, interesting. But then when they do the first move, which is like lightly touching your hair, it's not like a massage, like lightly touching, you get that tingle.
Oh my gosh,
right.
I know.
And then when you know, if you get a chance to go to YouTube and see it, you'll see like the forks in the hair, but then it's like, okay, now you're relaxing.
I know.
I honestly still think I'd start laughing.
Okay, maybe you and I are going on a date because I thought I was going to as well, and it was the opposite.
I know, I was shocked by your reaction.
And by the way, we are going to play that for you coming up on this podcast in just a little bit.
Listen, it might still be cold across the country, but one sure way to warm up every week is catching up with some of our favorite New York City singles on the latest season of Summer House, where things are heating up.
I'm loving Sierra's energy.
Same.
I'm trying to be more easygoing. Imagine this is like our engagement photos.
You don't care if I make out with Sierra, do you?
Is it in the works?
You might be like catching feelings for her.
Catching feelings, uh-oh. Summer House has been on the air for nearly a decade. The hit show has seen a few housemates come and go, but joining us in studio this morning, and I guess 3 seasons still in, a newbie, we've got Lindsay Hubbard and Jesse Soloman. Good morning, hello, welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks
for having us.
Oh, in unison. Listen, Jesse, what were you just saying when you saw that clip?
It was just me being an idiot highlight reel. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
It's just Jesse being Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get to know some of that. Let's get right to it. We saw this clip. There was the chemistry between you and Sierra. She dated your best friend. So what can you tell us about what's to come this season?
You know, I love them both dearly. Sierra's an amazing person, and we smooth things out.
Yeah,
We're
but
all
there's
best
still
friends.
a lot to come. There's a lot of twists and turns. Right when you think you know what's going to happen, something completely different happens.
This is what keeps everybody hooked.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot happening right now. Lindsay, first off, congratulations. You are a new mom.
Thank
so
you.
also congratulations for getting up and getting on the heels and the hose and the everything.
Yeah.
You got a little one. Fans have been loving seeing this transformation of you now becoming this level-headed voice of reason in the house, drama-free, maybe responsible. I remember coming back from mat leave and thinking, everybody else is the same, and I have completely changed.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of wild how motherhood changes you. And I feel like it's sometimes hard to articulate, especially in a house where a lot of people don't understand what that feeling is. But, you know.
How does that play out? Like, what kind of conversations will you have?
I basically would go into the house and stir the pot a little bit, get down to business, ask everyone what I missed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've become really good at that.
What does that mean, Jesse?
Oh, she told Sierra that
Well, that was my duty as a girl. I
as
had
you
to.
should.
She told Sierra
That you wanted to make out with her, or that
I
you
asked Wes if he would be
Wes.
upset if I made out with his ex-girlfriend of 2 summers ago. Anyways,
That's a bold conversation.
We squashed it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's fun about Summer House is like it's lighthearted, silly drama.
Yeah.
That sometimes hits deeper than other times, but we always get through it, and I think that's what's fun for the viewers, is it's not too dark and it's not too intense, and we always somehow find our way back.
Can I ask both of you about that? Because, you know, we were just carrying like a live press conference from the penthouse. And in this time where news feels heavy and it's coming fast and none of it feels, from the Pentagon, sorry. Did I say the penthouse? I was thinking of Summer House. From the Pentagon. That's a whole different show. And, but it feels like the news is heavy and people go here for escape.
Right.
It's their happy place. It's their safe place. It's where they can just relax their brains. What does that feel like to you to be people's happy place?
We actually were talking about this the other day. It's like we're so happy to give people a reprieve from like, you know, the political climate and, you know, the winter even and how cold of a tundra we live in right now.
And
but for us, it's like, oh gosh, you know, our drama and our, you know, everything that we're going through, like we're happy for you.
Yeah. We're grateful to be in a big house with our best friends having fun all summer, and that it feels relatable and people like to live vicariously through us, just like having some fun.
People want to go to a place where the biggest problem is, should I kiss my best friend's ex-girlfriend?
Right.
Listen, Jesse, I can't help but notice that your name key also says musician. So you studied vocal jazz.
Yep.
You put out some singles. Is this something that you want to pursue further?
Yeah, and I'm hoping you'll get to see some more of that journey throughout the season. I went to University of Miami, studied vocal jazz performance, and I have a lot of new music coming, and I'll be back in Toronto in a couple months, actually.
Oh.
So I hope
hope
to
you
see
stop by here.
some of you. Yeah,
have to come by.
that'd be fun.
You're all invited to whatever is he's gonna announce.
Yeah, whatever
You're
I'm
a good
announcing
friend.
next week.
As
Yeah.
a promoter. Lindsay and Jesse, so great to have you both here this
Thanks
morning.
for
Thank you
having
for joining
us.
us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can watch Summer House every Tuesday at 9 o'clock on Hayu. Paramount has agreed to buy Warner Brothers Discovery in a deal that's valued at $111 billion US. If approved, it would create one of the world's most powerful media institutions. This new company would be led by the Ellison family. Critics are warning this deal could radically remake the media landscape of the United States. Dwayne Winsek is a professor at the School of Journalism and Communication at Carleton University in Ottawa. He is our guest this morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Just to remind everybody, this deal would bring brands like CBS, CNN, and HBO all under one company. How unusual is that level of consolidation?
Yeah. Well, this is an extremely important deal. It's unprecedented in its scope. It brings together the third or fourth largest media company in the United States with the largest one, and that is the smaller taking over the biggest. It'll form the biggest media conglomerate in the U.S., and by dint of that, the world. It'll be the largest player in cable TV programming in the U.S., film and TV production and distribution, and across the combined television and film landscape. And beyond the kind of traditional media landscape, it's going to be integrated into U.S. TikTok, which just came about in the last month, as well as the Oracle Cloud Computing empire, all by way of the Ellison family's linchpin role as the owner of all of these entities. So this is a new kind of integrated cloud computing, social media, and entertainment juggernaut that we really haven't seen before.
So because we haven't seen it before, there are a lot of questions. And one of the ones that comes to the fore is the concern around the political connections of David and Larry Ellison, the son and father, and their ties to U.S. President Donald Trump. We know that the Ellison family has contributed millions of dollars. What are the concerns surrounding a potential political bias?
Yeah. Well, the real concern is that the Ellisons have basically become, they now believe that democracy in the United States is dysfunctional, and they are fundamentally opposed to the ongoing conventions, principles, and structures of democracy in the United States as we know it. And their media operations are now part of a political project. And the media operations, despite being extremely large, they've been bolted on to this much larger cloud computing empire that they have and this political project. And the idea here is that no longer do we see a free and independent media and the press, and that's organized as such by the by the proclivities of the owners and the formal separation of the owners from the government of the day. But we see the Ellison family willingly and happily, basically openly displaying their alliance and loyalty with the Trump administration. And in my 30 years of studying this kind of this landscape, the media landscape, I've never seen anything like this. And this is not something that the United States has seen in over a century. And it's something that we see in what are called illiberal democracies or competitive authoritarian countries like Hungary, Turkey, and India, and those kinds of countries where you see autocratic leaders like Viktor Orban, who have spent a decade rolling up the media to bring them in as allies to the administration. Trump has achieved this through the willing complicity of families like Ellison in just a year. So it's this unprecedented transformation, both of the industry, but also the industry's political integration into the administration of the day.
If approved, and it is as pervasive as you have laid out for us, it'll be interesting to see what changes for our Canadian media consumers as this goes forward. Great to have you with us today, Dwayne Winsek. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie.
Let's talk theater etiquette. Can we? Can we? What are the do's and don'ts?
The people in the audience have lost their minds at Broadway shows. The woman in front of me, to the right, had her phone on full brightness the entire time, and she was making phone calls. Oh. She was making phone calls.
Okay, this is a huge problem in the theater. So to solve this particular problem, Broadway introduced what are called yonder pouches. Have you seen these? That's what they look like. So basically, people lock their phones inside these pouches before the show. They can't access their phone until they leave. That is one big problem in the theater, but there is so much more to talk about. So let's bring in Josh Chong, who is the arts critic and culture reporter at the Toronto Star. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so you see a lot of theater production. We know that, right? You have witnessed a whole bunch of stuff. What have you seen?
I've seen some crazy things in Toronto and Broadway. People pulling out their phones to text, to film the show. I've seen one patron before answer a phone call and repeatedly say to the phone, I can't hear you, honey. I can't hear you, honey. I can't heir you, honey, over and over again.
What?
It was secondhand embarrassment, and I think that the actors on stage could obviously tell and hear that.
And what has happened when you've been there and witnessed this? Do other people comment? Do you comment?
On Broadway, yes. American audiences, I find, are unafraid of kind of telling their neighbor, put your phone away. But in Toronto, I find that audiences here, and Canadian audiences in general, are just kind of keep it in. You can kind of see them seething, their eyes kind of looking at the audience member who pulled out their phone, but rarely do they say anything. Yeah. I typically find that, if I'm in the theater and someone pulls out their phone, just a kind tap on the shoulder, can you please put that away? It's distracting for your fellow audience members. Typically does the trick. That? Yes, I would. Yeah, and I recommend doing it. Just being respectful and just letting people know and giving them a gentle reminder.
A gentle reminder. I want to ask you about these Yonder pouches. So New York is using these, West End and London's using these, so that's what they look like. But Canadian theaters are saying, no, we're not using these. Why?
Yeah. A lot of the Canadian theaters that I've spoken to have said that the cost is an issue. Each of these pouches costs about $30 each, and then you have to buy the unlocking mechanism as well. And a lot of the Canadian theaters I've spoken to said that they simply don't have the resources, and it's a bit of a hassle to manage because when patrons come in, you need ushers at the door handing these pouches out. And you need ushers at the door as well to remind patrons and actually watch patrons turn off their cell phones. Because these pouches, yes, they lock the phones, but they aren't soundproof.
I was gonna say, what if your phone rings in the locked pouch?
Yes, yeah, it could be disastrous. So that's why you need ushers at the doors to actually watch patrons physically turn off their phones so that it doesn't ring inside the theater. So if you don't
like this idea?
I do. Okay. But you do need a plan in place. Theaters do need a plan in place. And it's worked on Broadway. A lot of shows, like several shows each season, especially plays, do use it. I've been to a show on Broadway that has used it. It's effective, especially if you have the structure in place and if you remind audiences beforehand, like in an email, about what this process looks like.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about this viral moment that happened. We played it here on this show. You've probably seen it online. This was at a Mamma Mia show on Broadway recently, where there's a man you're going to see who stands up and has a lot to say to the row of women behind him, because that row of women have been singing throughout the entire show. Here's what happened.
I need a security over here now. Because these ladies and this whole section's gonna vouch for it. You wanna make a scene? I'm gonna make a scene. Mess with my teenage
Okay, so that happened, and he had asked them repeatedly to stop singing so that he could hear the actors on stage singing. What do you make of the situation?
That was crazy, and I think it just epitomizes how far we've fallen in terms of the theater etiquette.
So who's right here? Should the women have been singing?
No, absolutely not. I remember the conversation shifted. When that TikTok was first posted, everyone was blaming the man. They thought that he was causing the scene. And then when more information emerged, it was later revealed that the women were singing. And then some of the actors actually spoke out, if I remember correctly, and they said that even on stage, they could hear those women singing and just screaming from the audience. And I think that, we just need to remember that theater is a communal experience, and this is not watching a movie at home with no one else around, that we're sharing the space with others.
Can I ask you one more question? Because I also go to a lot of theater, which I absolutely love, and we're told, don't use your phones, but then I think every show I've gone to, when the cast call comes out at the very end of the show, everyone seems to whip out their phones. Are they allowed to do that?
It depends on the show. Some shows, like I remember Six, the musical that was in Toronto and toured across Canada, they built a number right at the end after the bows for people to take out their phones and film, and it's a good way to kind of, advertise and share it on social media with their friends. There are other shows that are really explicit that say no photos allowed, even for the bows. I think that it's on the theater companies to be really clear in the program and before the show starts, when the ushers go into the aisles, just to remind patrons, are you allowed to pull out your phones at the end of the show to capture the curtain call, or you're not, because the rules are really different for different shows.
Tell me audibly, too, so that everyone's hearing it at the same time. Josh, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
This is Your Morning, the podcast, where we bring you some of the best conversations from our show every week. Join us live on CTV every weekday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV, CTV News Channel, and Crave. So you've heard of the little blue pill when it comes to men's sexual health, right? But did you know there's one for women? A new documentary is showing viewers how that little pink pill finally made it past FDA approval and onto shelves, and it's largely thanks to one woman.
How do you take on the government for women's sexual pleasure? You lean right into it and say, this is the conversation we're going to have.
It's known as Viagra for women, a tiny tablet that could have a huge impact in the bedroom.
Cindy Eckert took on the government and won. Her story and the story of the pink pill is the subject of a new documentary that is out tomorrow, by the way. Cindy is here along with the film's director, Ashlyn Chin-Yi. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Lindsay.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation. This documentary is a game changer for so many people, along with the pill. Cindy, I'm going to start with you. How did you first hear about this pill?
You know, I built one of the male sexual health companies. So I was already in the field of sexual medicine, and I was at a big conference, and they presented brain scan imaging of women who were struggling with their libido versus women who weren't. And it was like lightning struck me. You could see a contrast in their brains of who was responding to sexual cues versus women who weren't. And I just said, oh my gosh, it's biology.
It's biology. This was a German company at the time?
It was.
So, and then, but your company bought the drug.
Yeah.
You named it Addie.
Yeah.
After your favorite Grey's Anatomy character, Addison, that we know very well. We talk about Grey's Anatomy a lot on this show.
I love it.
And then the journey began, really, to get it FDA approved. So what was that process like? I know it was a lot to talk about, so.
Let's just say they made a movie about it, in that the process was just so wild, and the double standards, and that's really what we should have been asking. And I think my good fortune was that I had built one of the male sexual health companies, so I knew when all the questions were so fundamentally different. But it was a lot of moving the goalposts, and it was I think science always had the answer. There was a cultural reckoning with whether or not we value if women lead more satisfying sex lives.
Because what's wild to me, so at the time, there were, 26 drugs already approved for men?
Yes.
And you're getting tons of pushback on the one that you're asking to be approved for women.
Absolutely, despite the fact that we had more data. So let's talk about that blue pill for a second. Just history lesson for everybody. When it got approved, it was deemed to meet such an important unmet medical need. It was fast-tracked for approval in 6 months. It took us 6 years in a very public dialogue about whether or not this mattered.
Ashlyn, let's talk about how you got turned on to this story.
Oh, yeah, I love your little
my terminology.
Well, like Cindy said, it's kind of an incredible cinematic story that she lived. And I make both narrative films and documentaries, and you're always looking for that exciting personal story that can tell sort of a bigger universal theme. And so, it's talking about sexism, it's talking about bias, it's talking about whose pleasure, whose bodies are actually prioritized. And we get to tell this through this really roller coaster journey that Cindy and Addie had to go through to get approval for women to just be taken seriously when they're talking about their sex lives.
Were you surprised by all the bias or not?
I mean, unfortunately, no.
Right.
I think what's so stark is seeing it is so systemic, and that it's at, it's in the levels of a regulatory system. It's through experts that really are still upholding this sort of patriarchal system that still excludes us in so many ways, but under this guise of expertise and, wanting to take care of women and people of gender diversity, So it's, we see that in so many different types of work, but...
And there's so much shame around this conversation, too. And that's why I found it so interesting with your choices, too, with the women. And I applaud these women for talking openly about this. But your choice as a filmmaker to have the moments before the interview starts, and some of the women that are in this documentary, where you see them adjusting in their chair. And you can sort of, that physicality of them sort of embodying that idea of okay, I'm about to talk about something that's probably pretty difficult for a lot of women to talk about. I want to ask you, lastly, about the drug itself.
Yes.
Is Addie available in Canada?
I'm very proud to say it is available in Canada. It was approved by Health Canada. It's available for all women, including women who've gone through menopause. So really, Canada kind of led the way there.
Both of you, thank you so much for this really important conversation. I want to let everybody know that The Pink Pill premieres tomorrow, March 6th on Paramount+. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So this morning, we are looking at caregivers here in Canada and some new numbers pointing at burnout and breaking points. Ontario alone is home to 4.2 million caregivers. That's almost half of all the caregivers in Canada. 38% are providing more than 10 hours of care per week. 69% say they feel so burnt out they aren't sure how they'll continue. So how do we help the helpers? Joining us this morning to walk through some of those numbers and available resources is Amy Coupal. She's the CEO of the Ontario Caregiver Organization. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I feel like we could talk a whole hour on this topic. We were just having a similar conversation on the show last week about caring for caregivers, and that was within the context of the military and PTSD. This is different. In terms of your report, who are we talking about when we describe a caregiver?
We're talking about family members, friends, and neighbors who are providing a wide range of supports, physical, emotional, and otherwise, for that person they care for.
Yeah, and in terms of the financial lift involved, caregivers are spending, so much money. I mean, a huge portion of their income, and a lot of times it's fixed income for these families. $750 per month. 25% have taken out a loan or they're using a line of credit. 41% have considered quitting their jobs just to be able to provide care, because affordable care is hard. If you're looking at PSWs, it's up to $1,000 a day sometimes. How do those they probably don't surprise you, but what does that look like in a home?
Well, what I think is interesting is how rapidly those numbers are growing.
Yeah.
The costs for caregivers are growing year over year, and that burden has an impact on them now and on their financial future.
Yeah, even if you've saved for retirement, this is starting to eat into those savings. Nationally, we've got a similar scenario playing out across the country in terms of caregivers feeling the strain. But there's an area in Ontario that stands out, and it has to do with visits to the ER. And we hear this all the time. This has become the drop zone for care. Nearly 2 million visits to the ER just so caregivers get a break. What does that tell you?
Well, when 1 in 5 caregivers are going to the ER as a form of respite, it tells me that they're desperate.
Yeah.
Caregivers are going often at a time of crisis or exhaustion, and they need support. They need support earlier in their journey and often throughout that caregiving journey.
And Amy, sometimes it's the hospital visit that will kickstart the care. And we heard that even when we had a parent that was in hospital, that once you've been through hospital, that's when things start to move fast for you. But that is not the way it should be. What do we do about this?
We know that there are opportunities to connect caregivers with support early and throughout their journey, and also the people that they care for. So one of the things that we do at the Ontario Caregiver Organization is work with health system partners around identifying caregivers, including them as a part of the care team, and connecting them with the support that they need, which includes that care pathway for the person they care for.
One of the things, I'm so glad you're providing that, because one of the areas is language. If you don't know what to ask for, you're not going to receive it. And a lot of times, if you know to say one thing, you're going to get care for something else. But it's almost like this coded language. How do you decode that for people?
Well, having a partner like the Ontario Caregiver Organization and others can help you to navigate those things. We have toolkits, we have tip sheets on our website where people can get information about how to work with healthcare providers and how to navigate this journey. We also have supports like a 24/7 helpline, so that if you want to call and talk through your experience and get supports for the person you care for as well as you, that's available.
Because oftentimes they're both an aging partnership. You've got the person who needs the care, but the person who's providing it is also older, and there's all kind of research around caregiving and aging and increase of illness and shortening of life expectancy. You said you're in the similar boat as well. You have aging parents as well. You find the system challenging to navigate. What's the best support that you guys offer?
The best support that we offer to caregivers is connection with a real person and someone who will understand your journey. So whether that is the voice of an expert in a webinar, whether it's a one-to-one peer support, a call in the middle of the night to our helpline, we want caregivers to know that they are not alone and that we will listen, connect, and make sure that they have the support that they need along that journey.
I know there's a lot of our audience who are hearing this thinking this sounds really helpful. So tell us where they can get connected.
Well, the best place to go is our website at ontariocaregiver.ca. We have all of the information about our free programs and services, as well as the things that we're doing with health system partners to improve that experience for caregivers.
Amy Kupal, CEO of the Ontario Caregiver Association. This is, again, our organization, sorry, this is a conversation we could have longer. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
There are only 100 days left until the World Cup, and one of the host countries is now at war. U.S. strikes on Iran are coming just weeks after Mexican troops clashed with cartel fighters in cities that are slated to hold some of the most highly anticipated matches. FIFA officials obviously watching this situation closely. Joining us for a look at how this is affecting fans is James Sharman. He's the host of Footy Prime, the podcast, which focuses on all things soccer. So great to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. This was a conversation, obviously, amongst our colleagues yesterday, is how does this affect FIFA? On Monday, the president of Iran's Soccer Federation threw his team's participation now in the World Cup in doubt. Iran is scheduled to play all of its Group G games in the United States. How is FIFA, both publicly and privately, responding and reacting to what's happening now?
Yeah, listen, what's the World Cup without some geopolitical issue? There's always something. There's migrant issues back in Qatar, of course. Back in 2018, it was Russia hosting, right? So a lot of issues there. Regarding this World Cup, it's war. It's a little bit different. Obviously, FIFA say at the moment the games will go ahead. But as you mentioned there, the Iranian sports minister is saying that, well, we don't know right now. So I think at the moment, behind closed doors, they are looking at contingency plans here for this World Cup from FIFA's standpoint. Potentially, the US could sanction an Iranian team from coming at all, or Iran could decide not to come. So what happens in that case? So in that case, you got two options, basically. FIFA could rejig the tournament. So Group G, which right now has Belgium, Egypt, New Zealand, and Iran in it, to have a three-team group potentially. Or the other option, of course, is to bring another team in to replace Iran. Now, if that's the case, more than likely it would be Iraq, or it would be the United Arab Emirates, given the qualifying process in Asia. But at the moment, everyone's saying, no, the World Cup will continue as is, but there's so many other issues around this World Cup at the moment. So obviously not ideal. There is precedent, though. If you go back to the European Championships back in 1992, Yugoslavia, war-torn Yugoslavia, was banished from the tournament at the last minute. In comes Denmark. And Denmark actually won the European Championship that year. So there is some precedent in international football.
Yeah, but this is one of the main host countries who have now declared war on Iran. And I know that we're 100 days away and a lot can change within that time. But what happens, James, if teams start to drop out of this tournament? For example, Canada right now is in a group with Qatar. They're scheduled to play in Canada, in Vancouver. As this war widens out and more countries are pulled into conflict, could we see teams start to drop out or perhaps refuse to come to the U.S. and say that they want to play in another country? What does FIFA do with that?
Well, there was mention a few weeks ago now around the whole Greenland issue. I think it was Germany was saying, well, maybe we won't come to the World Cup if the U.S. continue this force against Greenland, potentially. Honestly, what usually happens in these situations with FIFA is FIFA are very much in the pocket of the US and Donald Trump, it seems. We even saw the president, Gianni Infantino, wearing a MAGA hat.
Yes,
recently.
he's a member of the Board of Peace.
Yes.
A paying member of the Board of Peace.
We could talk a long time about Gianni Infantino and his politics and what his motivations are. Essentially, FIFA is to make as much money as possible. But listen, FIFA, generally speaking, in these situations, find out a way. They will not be embarrassed. They will throw money at a situation if possible. Now, that might be a little bit different regarding a war scenario. But they've been through all the scenarios here, I think. It's fair to say. They will find a way to make this World Cup happen. It's a 48-team World Cup. That's why it's a little bit different this time around. It's a bigger World Cup than ever before. So there are a lot of teams and a lot of political issues between those teams. So I'm sure they've had conversations with their members. At the moment, like I said, for the public conversation, this World Cup will go ahead as planned. But it's June, right? There's still a few months away now. A lot can still happen.
Host of Footy Prime, the podcast, James Sharman. Good to have your perspective this morning. Thanks for coming on your morning.
Thanks so much.
And coming up in the next half hour, we're going to speak with the executive director of FIFA World Cup 2026 at the City of Toronto about how that city is preparing.
Have you heard of ASMR? You probably have, right? It's that social media phenomenon that has people hooked to videos of whispers, tapping, and other sensory movements. It's meant to make you feel relaxed, and when I say relaxed, like super relaxed. And I got a chance to see what it's all about in real life at Tingle's Bar, which is an ASMR spa in Toronto. Check it out.
Fill your belly completely with an inhale and exhale. Let your head be heavy.
Well, Tammy, firstly, thank you so much for having us today.
Oh my God, welcome here.
Let's start with what ASMR means. What does that mean?
So ASMR is a term that stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and it describes a deeply relaxing feeling that occurs in response to soothing sounds, sights, or touch.
For many people, I'm guessing they'll come in here and they may not know exactly what they're going to get. What experiences do they have when they come in?
Yeah, so what we try to do is take those traditional triggers and elements of ASMR and bring it into a real life sensory experience. We want to induce that tingly sensation you get from something relaxing like hair brushing or back scratching, and create a really immersive experience for our guests to just unwind, relax, and feel cared for in a safe space.
Let's talk about this business model, how you got started. How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so like millions of others, I discovered ASMR through online video, specifically content around very unique forms of personal care. I instantly became a fan of watching it. I tried looking for places in the city that would offer similar things, but I couldn't find any, so I decided to create my own space for it. We did launch around COVID, right after when things started to go back to normal. It was a time where humans were really disconnected, and the timing of it is really the driving force to really fulfilling that desire to restore that lost sense of human connection.
I'm really excited because I'm going to go through a session today.
Yes.
What are the benefits of ASMR?
Yeah, so the benefits are really a full mind and body reset. It's intended to help you relax, help you unwind, reconnect with yourself. Everything we do is very delicate, soothing, and light touch. It's not like your traditional massage therapy where you're potentially bracing for pain because of the very deep pressure. It's all intended to be very calm and comforting.
I think I'm ready.
Wonderful.
I'm ready to meet your ASMR artist, Maisha, who's going to do my session today, right?
Fantastic. She's amazing. You're going to enjoy it a lot.
I can't wait. Maisha?
Lindsay.
Hi. It's so nice to meet you. I'm really
Nice
excited.
to meet you. Me too.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Notice the rise of your belly with your inhales. And notice it fall with your exhales. Each one flows seamlessly into the next. Every exhale, you get a little bit heavier. Stay here for as long as you'd like. When you do decide to move, do it so slowly and mindfully, waking each part of your body up one by one.
Maisha?
Yes?
I know why it's called Tingles Bar. I do.
You get some tingles?
I did. Tammy, that was very cool.
Amazing. How are you feeling?
I feel really good.
Yeah.
It was so unlike anything I've done before.
Fantastic. Did you have a favorite part?
I really like all the head stuff. The head stuff was really great. Now I have to tell you, my 13-year-old daughter has been telling me a lot about ASMR, so I think I'm gonna have to bring her in.
Great. We'd love to have you both back.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know Brooklyn was so jealous that I got to go to that. I do have to bring her back. It was really, really a very cool experience for me. A big thanks to Tammy and Maisha for having us. So see what I mean? Isn't that relaxing?
I am impressed. I would have thought all of this would not be so relaxing.
No, it was so nice.
Oh, I'm so glad that you were relaxed. Listen, if you like that conversation and all the other conversations that we had today, you can download or hit subscribe to Your Morning the podcast wherever you get your podcast.
What is that? Wherever you get your podcast.
That's right.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
You're so welcome.
And of course, we would love it if you watched us live weekday mornings on CTV CTV News Channel and Crave. You can start your morning with us.